Hi, my name is Jacques Seysses. I'm one of the owners and winemaker at Domaine Dujac. We've just finished a tasting of the 2021s, the full range, with Garrett and Jason. The vintage is one that a lot of people will have heard about as the frost was very impactful on all of France, and in Burgundy we had a lot of lit candles in the night that made for some beautiful pictures but did not succeed in saving the buds that had come out at that stage. So we were very heavily impacted in the yields of the vintage. We're down about 75% on the whites. We're down between 30 and 60% on the reds, with a few exceptions. And then the rest of the season was hardly easy, where we had a lot of recurrent rains. We had a lot of cloud cover, so not a lot of light intensity, and so there was some disease pressure. It was an immense amount of work because you've got different generations of buds growing at the same time, so the trellis is tricky to manage during that time. So it was a lot of work end to end for small quantities, but you always work extra hard in those vintages because you try to give meaning to the hardship that you're going through. And honestly, we gave it our best. And when the wines came out of barrel and came out of tank and went into barrel, I was a little disappointed with what we had. Despite the small crops, I was not feeling the concentration I was expecting in a vintage with yields that low. But after 8-9 months after we'd gone through Malo the following spring and before summer, the wines really transformed. They put on some color, they put on some body. They're much more dense and concentrated and high quality, honestly, than I had initially judged. I've rarely had a vintage that's made me reconsider my initial impression quite so dramatically over the course of élevage. And there's still a few months to go before bottling, where we'll have to deal with, there's some slight reduction on some of the wines, and they're still raw products, so we're not quite done yet. But I think that at this stage we have a vintage which is unusual in the 21st century because this kind of vintage condition has become less familiar to us, but is a real throwback to the kind of vintages my father used to see in the 80s, where you'd have the ripeness would take longer to come. We harvested end of September, but then it did come. We harvested very nice sugar levels. There is maybe a bit more acidity than in some of the vintages like we've seen, and especially in the earlier part of the 2000s. There's fruit, there's terroir specificity. I think there's good purity as well. So I think everything is there. We will see after bottling and once we've finished. But I feel pretty good about 2021, honestly.